The emergency lockdown slammed into place 3 seconds after Olivia Martinez gently tapped the last cadet's wrist, and suddenly, every biological scanner in the Vexkari Military Academy's training facility was screaming like the station was about to explode. Combat instructor Kale Thas stared at his console, his primary manipulators trembling, as six separate biohazard alerts flashed crimson across every screen. Lethal force deployed. Earthborn combat protocol violation. Immediate containment required. In the center of the sparring ring stood one human female in a gray academy workout uniform, looking around with obvious confusion. On the padded floor around her lay 3 of his most advanced cadets, elite soldiers who'd survived combat operations in the Kelvar sector, completely disarmed, uninjured, and staring at the ceiling with expressions of profound shock. Did I do something wrong?" Olivia called out, raising her hands slowly. "They asked me to demonstrate Earth self-defense techniques. I was really gentle, I promise." Gentle. Kael'thas pulled up the biometric logs with shaking hands. The numbers couldn't be right. They couldn't be. According to the scanners, the human had just deployed force equivalent to a Category 5 combat engagement, the kind of violence that required military-grade enhancement stimulants and typically resulted in permanent injury or death. But the cadets were fine. Embarrassed, certainly. Cadet Jitaro was still lying on his back, holding his training blade and looking at it like he'd never seen the weapon before. But fine. "Instructor Kael'thas to command," he said, his voice remarkably steady considering his cardiovascular system was attempting to escape his body. "We have a code violet situation in Training Bay 7. Request immediate presence of Station Commander Zilax." "Code violet," the communications officer's voice pitched upward. "Instructor, are you certain?" According to YouTube analytics, 98% of viewers are not subscribed. That's a huge number. By subscribing the channel that is completely free, every scanner in the bay is screaming, Kael'thas said flatly. "Get him here. Now." He looked back at the ring. Olivia had knelt down next to Cadet Vex Thule, apparently checking if he was all right. The proximity sensors immediately shrieked louder. "Miss Martinez, please step back from the cadets," Kael'thas barked. She jumped, startled, and moved away quickly. Sorry, I just wanted to make sure everyone was okay. They went down pretty hard and I thought..." "They went down hard?" Cadet Jitaro sat up slowly, his voice strange. "Instructor, she barely touched me. I felt pressure on my wrist for maybe half a second, and then I was on the ground. I don't even know what happened." "Same," Cadet Sinara wheezed from where she'd landed near the ring's edge. "I've trained in 17 combat disciplines. I've never been disarmed that fast. It was like..." She trailed off, clearly searching for words. "Like trying to fight gravity itself." The bay doors hissed open and Commander Zilax strode in, his command armor still sealed, from whatever emergency drill he'd been overseeing. Behind him came 2 security officers with weapons drawn. "Stand down," Zilax ordered the security team immediately, his eyes taking in the scene. "Kael'thas, explain. Your code violet indicated lethal force deployment, but I see no casualties." "That's the problem, Commander." Kael'thas gestured at his console. The scanners registered lethal force, multiple Category 5 impacts, force levels that should have shattered bone and ruptured organs. "But as you can see..." "Everyone's fine," Olivia interjected, then seemed to realize she'd just interrupted a station commander. "Sorry, sir, Commander, but seriously, I was super careful. I teach middle schoolers back home. You have to be gentle or parents complain." Zilax turned to look at her fully for the first time. "You teach children these techniques?" "Well, yeah. It's just basic self-defense stuff. Wrist releases, balance breaks, that kind of thing." She shrugged. "The school district requires it as part of physical education. Nothing fancy." The commander's expression did something complicated. He walked to Kael'thas's console and began scrolling through the biometric data himself, his movements becoming progressively more jerky as he read. "This shows acceleration that should require combat stims," he said slowly. Reaction times 400% faster than our enhancement protocols allow. Force application that exceeds our safety parameters by, he stopped, by magnitudes that shouldn't be possible for an unenhanced organic. Unenhanced? Olivia laughed, though it sounded nervous. I mean, I'm in decent shape for a gym teacher, but I'm not exactly an athlete. I mostly referee dodgeball tournaments and yell at teenagers to stop texting during laps. Kael'thas felt something cold settle in his core. Commander, we need to review the footage, immediately. They pulled up the training session recording, and Kael'thas watched his professional understanding of combat mechanics begin to crumble. The human had moved through his cadets like they were standing still. Not with the jerky, overwhelming speed of combat stims, but with a fluid, casual efficiency that was somehow more disturbing. She'd redirected Vexthul's blade strike with what appeared to be 2 fingers. She'd stepped inside Sinara's guard as if the defensive posture simply didn't exist. She'd literally patted Jotaro on the wrist, and his weapon had gone flying across the ring. And through it all, she'd been smiling, making encouraging comments. Good try. Watch your footwork, though. Keep your center balanced, like she was teaching a class. By the founders, Zilax breathed. Play it again. Slow it down to quarter speed. They did. At quarter speed, they could see Olivia's movements more clearly, and that only made it worse. Every motion was precise, economical, perfectly controlled. She never used more force than necessary, never struck to harm. She was, as she'd claimed, being gentle. The scanners weren't wrong about the force levels. They were wrong about what those force levels meant for a human. Commander, Kael'thas said quietly, we need to contact the Galactic Military Standards Committee. The Human Exchange Program protocols. I think they were based on fundamentally incorrect assumptions about Earth physiology. Zilax nodded slowly, still staring at the frozen image of Olivia mid-motion, her expression pleasant and helpful, while 3 elite soldiers tumbled away from her like leaves in a windstorm. Get them on priority channels, the commander ordered. And someone explained to Miss Martinez why every alarm in the facility is currently treating her like a walking doomsday weapon. Olivia raised her hand hesitantly from inside the ring, still surrounded by flashing red warning lights. So, should I not demonstrate the advanced techniques, because we haven't even gotten to the fun stuff yet? The fun stuff. Kael'thas reached for his emergency sedatives and discovered he'd need to requisition more. This was going to be a very long day. Commander Zilax pulled up the full biometric analysis, and the numbers made even less sense the longer he stared at them. He'd commanded 3 battle groups through the Kelvar incursion. He'd seen combat data from every major species in the Galactic Council. He knew what enhanced soldiers looked like on scanners. This wasn't that. Cadet Vexthul, he said, not looking away from the screen. Describe exactly what you felt during the engagement. The cadet stood at attention, though his posture was slightly off, unusual for someone of his training caliber. Sir, the human suggested we attempt to strike her as we would during standard sparring. I executed a level 3 blade approach, standard velocity. He paused. She touched my wrist, sir, barely, like someone tapping your shoulder to get your attention. Next thing I knew, my weapon was across the room and I was on the ground. Barely touched you, Zilax repeated. Yes, sir, I've taken hits from training instructors using force gauntlets that felt more aggressive. Zilax pulled up the force metrics for that specific contact. 4,147 newtons applied in 0.3 seconds. Enough to break a Vexkari wrist bone if it had been direct impact instead of a redirect. This reading shows... She was really gentle, actually, Cadet Sinara added. I've sparred with instructor Kael'thas dozens of times. This felt like my younger sibling pushing me during play fighting, except somehow I ended up disarmed. Kael'thas brought up another angle of the footage. Commander, watch this section. I'll play it at 1/10 speed. Even slowed down dramatically, Olivia's movements looked normal. That was the disturbing part. She wasn't blurring with stimulant-enhanced speed. She was simply moving, stepping, turning, redirecting, like someone going through a casual demonstration. Except the biometric overlay showed her crossing 3 meters in 0.4 seconds. changing direction with acceleration that should have torn ligaments, applying and releasing force with precision that required neural enhancement implants. Miss Martinez, Zilax said carefully, would you be willing to demonstrate one technique again, very slowly? Oh, sure. Olivia walked back to the center of the ring, her movement easy and relaxed. Cadet Vexthul, want to try again? Just come at me like before, but we'll do it in slow motion so everyone can see what's happening. The cadet approached, moving his blade forward at perhaps 1/10 his previous speed. Olivia reached out, her hand drifting toward his wrist with exaggerated slowness. Every scanner in the bay shrieked again. Earthborn combat protocol violation. Lethal force parameters exceeded. I'm not even touching him yet, Olivia protested, freezing mid-motion. Kael'thas checked the readings, felt his respiratory system stutter. The scanners are reacting to your intention to move, not the movement itself. Your muscle tension, neural activity, biochemical prep, it's all registering as pre-combat enhancement sequences. I'm literally just reaching out slowly to tap someone's wrist, she demonstrated by touching her own wrist. Like this, see? Totally normal. The scanners continued screaming. This is insane, Zilax muttered. Contact Medical Officer Lear Anna. I want a full examination of the cadets, and get me someone from Galactic military standards on emergency channels. Now. Medical Officer Lear Anna arrived within minutes, her scanning equipment already active. She ran her instruments over Cadet Jotaro first, then went very still. Instructor Kael'thas, she said slowly, when did you last inspect the training armor? This morning. All equipment passed safety certification. Then we have a problem. She highlighted her scanner display. Cadet Jotaro has 17 microfractures in his forearm armor, stress patterns consistent with repeated high-impact strikes. Cadet Sinara has 14. Cadet Vexthul has 23. That's impossible, Kael'thas said. The human only touched them once each. I know what my instruments show. Lirana moved to scan Olivia, who stood patiently with her arms out. Miss Martinez, do you feel fatigued? Elevated heart rate, any sign of exertion? Not really. I mean, I'm standing around in a gym. This is literally my job. Olivia shrugged. I'm more stressed from all the alarms than from the sparring. Lirana studied her medical scanner, then adjusted it, then hit it twice like it was malfunctioning. Her heart rate is 52 beats per minute. That's low, Zilax said. Low, Lirana's voice pitched upward. Commander, that's equivalent to Vexkari deep sleep state. She just engaged 3 armed soldiers in close combat. Her heart rate should be elevated. Her stress hormones should be flooding her system. According to this, she's more relaxed now than when she entered the facility this morning. Because the sparring was fun, Olivia offered. Way less stressful than my 3rd period class. Those kids are animals during dodgeball. Dodgeball, Kael'thas repeated faintly. Yeah, you throw balls at each other, try not to get hit, builds reflexes. She made a casual throwing motion. Every proximity sensor in the room flickered. I teach middle school, so we use the soft foam balls, not the rubber ones. 12-year-olds don't have the best impulse control, so you've got to keep your head on a swivel. Kids throw hard. Zilax's communication panel chimed. Commander, I have High Administrator R. Hill from the Galactic Military Standards Committee on Priority Channel. He says it's urgent. Put him through. Zilax activated the holo display. R. Hill's image materialized, his expression already grave. Commander Zilax, I've been reviewing the biometric data your facility has been broadcasting on emergency channels. Please tell me your scanners are malfunctioning. I wish I could, Administrator. We've triple-checked. All equipment is functioning perfectly. Then you're telling me that an unenhanced human civilian just exceeded Category 5 combat parameters while reportedly being gentle with military cadets. That is exactly what I'm telling you. Rahil was quiet for a long moment. Commander, I need you to understand something. The protocols governing human participation in military training programs were established based on extensive physiological studies. Studies that showed humans as physically inferior to most spacefaring species. Fragile skeletal structure, limited strength-to-mass ratio, poor natural armor. Administrator, Kael'thas interrupted, what if those studies were wrong? Another long silence. Get me every piece of data you have, Arhel said finally. And whatever you do, don't let that human leave the facility until I arrive. I'm commandeering the next military transport. I'll be there in 3 hours. The connection ended. Olivia raised her hand. So, does this mean we're not continuing with the lesson plan? Because I brought materials for teaching basic tumbling and was really excited to show everyone how to do a proper shoulder roll. Kael'thas looked at Xylax. Xylax looked at Lyrana. Lyrana looked at her scanner showing Olivia's heart rate had actually decreased to 48 beats per minute. Let's maybe hold off on the tumbling, Xylax said weakly. For now. Olivia sighed. Man, this is just like the time the school board freaked out about our rope climbing unit. Everyone's always so worried about safety. She had, Kael'thas realized with creeping horror, absolutely no idea what she was. High Administrator Arhil arrived in exactly 2 hours and 47 minutes, which meant he'd violated at least 3 different speed regulations to get there. He swept into Training Bay 7 with an entourage of analysts, all carrying equipment that looked expensive and highly specialized. Kael'thas had spent those hours watching Olivia sit in the corner of the training bay, reading something on her personal data pad and occasionally laughing to herself. Her heart rate hadn't gone above 54 beats per minute. She'd asked twice if anyone wanted snacks, because she'd packed extra. Commander Xylax, Instructor Kael'thas. Rahel nodded curtly. Miss Martinez, thank you for your patience. I'm High Administrator Arhil from the Galactic Military Standards Committee. I need to ask you some questions. Sure, no problem. Olivia stood up, stretching. Several vertebrae popped audibly. Every medical scanner in the room spiked. Sorry, I've been sitting too long, bad for the back. Rahil glanced at his analysts, who were staring at their instruments with visible confusion. Miss Martinez, I've reviewed the protocols established for human participation in Galactic Council training programs. They were based on comprehensive studies of human physiology conducted 23 standard years ago, studies that indicated humans were fragile compared to most spacefaring species. Oh yeah, we're pretty squishy, Olivia agreed cheerfully. No natural armor, no claws, no venom, just skin and optimism. Yet you just disarmed 3 enhanced soldiers using what you described as basic techniques. Well, yeah, they asked me to demonstrate Earth self-defense. I showed them wrist releases and basic balance breaks. Standard 7th grade curriculum stuff. One of Arhil's analysts, a Centauri researcher with extensive cybernetic augmentation, stepped forward. Miss Martinez, would you be willing to participate in a simple reflex test? I'm going to throw this calibration sphere at you. Please catch it. Okay. Olivia held out her hands casually. The analyst triggered the sphere. It shot toward Olivia at 340 meters per second, faster than most species could perceive without neural enhancements. Olivia plucked it out of the air with her left hand without looking away from Arhil. Like that? Every analyst's instrument shrieked simultaneously. How? The Centauri researcher whispered. Did you track that projectile? Track it? Olivia looked at the sphere like she was confused by the question. I just caught it. Was it supposed to be hard? Miss Martinez, that sphere was moving at speeds that require enhanced neural processing to perceive, let alone intercept. Oh. She tossed the sphere back casually. It moved so fast the analyst barely caught it with both hands. We play a game called cricket back home. The ball moves way faster than that. This seemed pretty slow, actually. Rahil's expression did something Kael'thas had never seen before, like his entire understanding of physics was betraying him in real time. Your recreational sports involve projectiles moving faster than military-grade training equipment? I mean, cricket's not even the fast one. Have you heard of baseball or hockey? Those get pretty intense. Olivia smiled. Though I'm more of a volleyball person, myself. Less running. Administrator, one of the analysts said quietly. I've been running comparative analysis on the biometric data. If we assume these readings are accurate. They are accurate, Kael'thas interjected firmly. Then human baseline physiology exceeds our enhancement protocols by factors of 3 to 7, depending on the category. Reaction time, force generation, acceleration tolerance, pain threshold, sustained activity duration. The analyst trailed off. Sir, our entire combat rating system is calibrated wrong. We've been using Vexkari enhanced soldiers as the upper benchmark for Category 5 combat capability. That's correct, Arhill said slowly. Vexkari enhanced soldiers are equivalent to human recreational athletes. Not military, not enhanced. Recreational. The silence that followed was the sound of several paradigms breaking simultaneously. Let me see her credentials, Arhill said, his voice very quiet. Everything Earth provided for the exchange program. Kael'thas pulled up Olivia's file. Arhill read through it, his expression becoming progressively more strained. Miss Martinez, your file says you specialize in adaptive physical education for low-energy students. Can you explain what that means? Oh, sure. I teach kids who can't participate in regular PE classes, students with chronic conditions, physical disabilities, recovering from injuries, that kind of thing. Her face brightened. It's really rewarding work. You have to modify activities to match their energy levels and physical capabilities, but you teach physically disabled human children, Arhill interrupted. Well, yeah, kids who can't do the standard curriculum. What can these students do? Physically? Olivia thought about it. Depends on the student, obviously, but most of them can handle light cardio, basic coordination drills, modified sports. I've got one kid with a heart condition who can't run much, but he's great at archery. Another girl with joint problems who, can they catch objects? Rahil's voice was strained. Objects moving at speed? Like what? A ball? Sure, most of them can play catch. It's good for hand-eye coordination. Could they disarm a soldier? Olivia laughed. I mean, I don't teach them combat techniques, but basic self-defense? Yeah, probably, if they had to. Why? Rahil looked at his analysts. Run the simulation. Human child, physically disabled, limited by medical conditions that restrict cardiovascular activity, compared to galactic military standards. The analysts worked in silence for nearly a minute. Finally, the Centauri researcher looked up, his expression haunted. Administrator, according to Miss Martinez's descriptions, her weakest students, human children too disabled to participate in standard physical education, would place in the 73rd percentile of galactic military combat effectiveness evaluations. That can't be right, Zilak said. Check again. We've checked 4 times, Commander. The math is correct. Rahil sat down heavily in the nearest chair. Your species restricts your warriors to teaching children? Warriors? Olivia laughed so hard she had to wipe her eyes. Oh my God, no, I'm not a warrior. I teach gym class. I help kids learn to throw balls and climb ropes without hurting themselves. Actual soldiers are… She paused, seeming to search for words. Different, very different. How different? Kael'thas asked, though part of him didn't want to know. Well, my brother's in the army. He can deadlift about 500 pounds, run a mile in under 5 minutes with full gear, and he says basic training is mostly running and push-ups. Oh, and they have to qualify on weapons that… She pulled out her datapad, searching for something. Here, he sent me a video of rifle qualification, hitting targets at 300 meters while… Don't show us, Arhill said quickly. Please. I don't think my cardiovascular system can handle it. One of the analysts was reading through additional files. Administrator, I've found the original Earth physiological studies. They were based on skeletal density scans and comparative muscle tissue analysis, but… He looked up. The samples were taken from elderly humans in medical facilities. specifically patients recovering from bone deterioration treatments. You calibrated the entire human assessment based on sick elderly people? Olivia said, her voice rising. That's like judging all Vexcari based on toddlers. We didn't know, Arhill said weakly. The samples were labeled as standard human physiology. Who labels hospital patients as standard? Apparently, the research team 23 years ago did. Arhill put his head in his hands. Every protocol, every safety restriction, every calculated limitation on human participation in Galactic Council activities, all of it based on fundamentally incorrect baseline assumptions. So you thought we were weak? Olivia said. We thought you were appropriately mid-range for Category 2 species. And we're actually? Rahil looked at his analysts. The Centauri researcher checked his instruments one more time, then said quietly, if we recalibrate based on actual human baseline capabilities, you'd require a new category entirely, above Category 5, possibly above what we previously considered theoretically possible for organic beings. Olivia processed this, then shrugged. Huh, neat. So does this mean I can teach the tumbling unit now, or? Absolutely not, Kylthas and Arhill said simultaneously. The emergency Galactic Council session convened 6 hours later via secure holographic channels. Kylthas had never seen so many high-ranking officials look so uncomfortable simultaneously. Council Speaker Azila materialized at the head of the virtual table, her form flickering slightly from the distance. High Administrator Arhill, you've requested this emergency session to discuss a critical threat assessment failure regarding Earth. Please explain. Thank you, Speaker. Rahil stood, and Kael'thas noticed the administrator had aged noticeably in the past few hours. 23 years ago, we conducted physiological assessments of humanity to determine their appropriate classification for Galactic Council interaction. Those assessments were catastrophically wrong. Wrong how? Asked Council Member Korvax, a military strategist from the Kelvar Union. We assessed humans as Category 2 species, fragile, limited physical capability, requiring extensive protection protocols. Rahil pulled up the biometric data from the training bay. In reality, baseline human physiology exceeds our Category 5 enhanced soldiers by factors of 3 to 7, depending on capability measured. The council chamber erupted in overlapping voices. Speaker Azila called for order twice before the room quieted. That's impossible, Korvax said flatly. I've reviewed human skeletal structures. They're fragile. No natural armor, limited bone density. Miss Martinez, Arhill gestured to where Olivia sat in the corner of the training bay, looking deeply uncomfortable with all the attention. Would you be willing to show the council some examples of normal human recreational activities? Sure, Olivia pulled out her datapad. I've got some videos from back home. What do you want to see? Show them what human children do for entertainment. Okay. Olivia navigated to her photo library, selected a video. This is my nephew's soccer game. He's 10. The video played on the main holographic display. 22 human children ran across a grass field, chasing a ball with single-minded determination. They collided, fell, got back up, kept running. Rahil's analysts overlaid biometric projections onto the footage in real time. Those children are sustaining cardiovascular activity that would require combat stimulants for most council species, one analyst noted, for extended periods, while executing complex coordination tasks at age 10. It's just soccer, Olivia said helplessly. Kids play it for fun. Show them rugby, Arhill said, his voice flat. Olivia pulled up another video. The council watched in growing horror as adult humans deliberately ran into each other at full speed, fighting over an oval ball, tackling each other to the ground, then getting up and doing it again. And again, for 80 minutes. These humans are unenhanced? Speaker Azila asked weakly. That's my cousin Dave's amateur league, Olivia confirmed. He's an accountant. Plays rugby on weekends for exercise. Exercise, Korvax repeated. They do this for exercise. Here's a good one. This is a playground near my school. Olivia showed footage of human children climbing, swinging, jumping from heights that made several council members visibly flinch. This one's for ages 5 to 12. The kids love it. The biometric analysis showed impact forces and fall distances that would hospitalize most council species. The human children laughed and ran back to do it again. Miss Martinez, Speaker Azila said carefully, you mentioned you have a brother in Earth's military. Can you describe the difference between civilian and military human capabilities? Oh, sure. My brother's in the Army, ground forces. He can deadlift about 500 pounds, which is like... She did quick math. About 227 kilograms, and that's pretty standard for his unit. They have to carry heavy equipment long distances. He can lift what? 500 pounds. It's required for his job. Oh, and he runs everywhere. Basic training is like mostly running and push-ups and... Council member Talana, a medical specialist from the Centauri Confederacy, made a small sound and her hologram flickered. She'd fainted. Is she okay? Olivia asked, concerned. Please continue, Speaker Azila said, though she looked like she might follow Talana's example. Okay. Basic training is mostly cardio, running, push-ups, sit-ups, obstacle courses. They do that for like 3 months before they even get to the specialized combat stuff. My brother says it's pretty easy compared to Ranger School, which is... Let's not discuss Ranger School, R. Hill interrupted quickly. Commander Xylax, you've observed Miss Martinez directly. Do humans have combat restrictions, ethical guidelines for fighting? Oh yeah. Tons, Olivia said before Xylax could answer. We've got lots of rules. Like in most martial arts, you can't bite, no eye gouging, no groin shots in official matches, no strikes to the back of the head. Most fighting sports have weight classes, so it's fair. You've got to follow the rules and fight honorably. And these restrictions, they make combat less dangerous? Azila asked hopefully. Well, less likely to cause permanent injury, Olivia said. The rules are there to keep it sportsmanlike. You know, fair fighting. Kael'thas watched the council members exchange glances. They were all doing the same math he'd done hours ago. Human, fair fighting, with extensive rules to reduce harm, still exceeded maximum galactic military force protocols. Speaker Azila, Arhil said quietly. We need to completely recategorize Earth's threat assessment and recalibrate all human participation protocols in council activities. The current framework is based on false assumptions that could lead to serious incidents. Or already have, Xylax added. If we've been treating humans as fragile Category 2 beings when they're actually... We don't have a category for what they actually are, Rahil finished. Korvax had been silent, reviewing data on his terminal. I've been reading Earth's cultural database. They have a concept called pulling your punches. It means deliberately using less force than you're capable of to avoid harming your opponent. That's just being nice, Olivia said. You don't go full strength when you're sparring with someone weaker. That'd be mean. You've been pulling your punches this entire time, Xylax said, and it wasn't a question. Well, yeah, obviously, you guys asked for a demonstration, not like actual combat. I was being super gentle. The training base scanners had registered Category 5 force deployment. That was Olivia being super gentle. Speaker Azila was quiet for a long moment. Miss Martinez, why didn't humans mention their capabilities when applying for council membership? Olivia looked genuinely confused. Why would we? You guys have faster-than-light travel, energy weapons, galactic civilization. We figured you knew what you were doing. You had our medical data, our cultural information, everything. We thought you understood what humans were like. She paused. Maybe just ask next time, before assuming we're weak. We thought everyone knew. The simplicity of it hung in the virtual chamber. She's right, R. Hill said finally. We made assumptions based on incomplete data and never verified them with actual humans. This is our failure, not Earth's. Agreed, Speaker Azila said. Motion to recalibrate all human interaction protocols, establish new safety categories for human normal activities, and issue formal apology to Earth for, she smiled slightly, underestimating them. All in favor? The vote was unanimous. Miss Martinez, you may continue your teaching position, Azila said, though we'll need to recalibrate our scanners so they don't treat you as a walking weapons violation. Does this mean I can teach the tumbling unit? Olivia asked hopefully. Kael'thas looked at Hill looked at Zilax. Zilax sighed. Let's start with walking, the commander said, and work our way up. Very, very slowly. 1 week later, Kael'thas stood in Training Bay 7 reviewing the new protocols that had been implemented across every Galactic Council military facility. The changes were extensive. A new classification had been added to the official combat rating system, Human Baseline, Category HB1. It sat above the previous maximum rating of Category 5 like a monument to everyone's collective miscalculation. The accompanying documentation ran to 847 pages and included phrases like recalibration of fundamental assumptions and species-wide capability reassessment. The scanners had been reprogrammed. They still monitored Olivia's movements, but now the readings displayed as within expected human normal parameters instead of screaming about biohazard violations every 3 seconds. It was much quieter. Kael'thas wasn't sure he liked it. Instructor, Cadet Vexthul approached, his posture formal but with an edge of excitement Kael'thas rarely saw in advanced students. I wanted to request permission to continue training sessions with Miss Martinez. You want more? Kael'thas asked, surprised. Sir, I learned more about combat dynamics in that one session than in my previous 6 months of standard training. The way she moves, the efficiency, the leverage principles, it's completely different from our methodology. Vexthul hesitated. Several of us have been discussing it. If humans teach these techniques to their children, perhaps we should learn them too. Kael'thas glanced across the bay where Olivia was setting up equipment for today's lesson. Colorful rubber balls, small orange cones, what appeared to be a rope with handles on each end. She was humming something cheerful and completely unaware that she'd accidentally revolutionized galactic military training doctrine. What are we learning today, Miss Martinez? He called out. Elementary school PE curriculum. She beamed. I figured we'd start with the basics. Tag, dodgeball, some coordination drills, fun stuff. Fun, Kael'thas repeated, remembering that human children played these games for entertainment. The session began with tag, a deceptively simple concept where one person chased others and attempted to touch them. Olivia explained the rules, demonstrated proper running form, and then said, Okay, I'm it. Ready? She was. The cadets weren't. Watching Olivia pursue trained soldiers around the training bay while they desperately tried to evade her was surreal. She wasn't even running at full speed. Kael'thas could tell she was holding back significantly, but the cadets still got tagged within seconds. Then they were it and had to chase each other. And suddenly, Kael'thas understood what he was watching. Spatial awareness, acceleration and deceleration control, predictive movement, decision-making under pressure. All the components of advanced tactical maneuvering, packaged as a children's game. This is brilliant, he murmured. By the end of the week, the results were undeniable. Cadets training with Olivia's elementary school curriculum showed a 300% improvement in combat effectiveness evaluations. Their reaction times increased, their spatial reasoning sharpened, their endurance expanded. High Administrator R. Hill sent an official request to Earth's Council liaison. Please send more gym teachers. The commendation ceremony was brief. Commander Zilax presented Olivia with the Galactic Military Academy's Medal of Training Excellence for revolutionizing combat instruction methodologies across Council space. Olivia accepted it with visible confusion. I just taught them how to play tag and dodge ball. That's literally what I do every Tuesday with third graders. Exactly, Zilak said, and he sounded tired in a way that had nothing to do with lack of sleep. Kael'thas had begun a personal study program, Human Children's Games and Their Applications to Advanced Tactical Training. His research notes now included detailed analyses of Red Rover, Foursquare, and Freeze Dance. Each one revealed layers of strategic complexity that humans apparently absorbed before age 10. Commander Zilak submitted a formal proposal to expand Earth's cultural exchange program by 400%. The council session discussing it had devolved into a debate about whether humans had intentionally concealed their capabilities as some kind of long-term strategic deception. Olivia's response, when asked, "Why would we brag about gym class? That's weird. Everyone plays sports. It's not special." The recording of her saying that, genuine, bemused, absolutely sincere, had been played at least 50 times in council chambers. Kael'thas had watched it himself, trying to spot any hint of deception. There wasn't any. She really didn't understand what the fuss was about. Now Kael'thas reviewed Olivia's lesson plan for next week's session. The title made his cardiovascular system attempt something inadvisable: Introduction to Jump Rope and Basic Coordination. He read the description: sustained cardiovascular activity, rapid limb coordination, timing precision, endurance building through repetitive motion patterns. The attached note from Olivia: "This is usually where we lose some kids. It takes practice, but it's great for building stamina." The emoji did not make him feel better. "Miss Martinez," he called out as she was packing up her equipment, "this jump rope activity, it's safe? For my cadets?" She looked over, smiling. "Oh, sure. I mean, 7-year-olds do it. How hard can it be?" Kael'thas pulled up Earth footage of 7-year-olds doing jump rope. They moved with sustained speed and coordination that would exhaust most Vexkari soldiers in under 3 minutes. The children did it for 30 minutes straight while laughing and singing songs. "I'm going to increase medical staff for next session," he said. "Really? Okay. If you think that's necessary." Olivia shouldered her bag. "Oh, I'm planning to introduce Capture the Flag next month. That one's super popular with my students. Gets everyone moving, builds teamwork, strategic thinking. It's great." "Capture the Flag," Kael'thas said faintly. After she left, he pulled up Earth documentation on the game. The footage showed humans sprinting through obstacle-filled terrain, tackling each other, executing complex flanking maneuvers, all while laughing and trash-talking. Games lasted hours. Participants ranged from children to adults. Everyone seemed to think it was entertainment. He closed the terminal, opened his calendar, and added a note to the date Olivia planned to introduce the activity. "Request sedatives, possibly for entire facility. Consider doubling medical staff. Warn Commander Zilak." His communication panel chimed. Commander Zilak himself. "Kael'thas, I've been reviewing the expanded exchange proposal. Earth is sending 20 more cultural ambassadors next quarter. Teachers, coaches, recreational specialists." A pause. "Are we ready for this?" Kael'thas looked at the training bay, remembering Olivia casually catching a supersonic projectile while explaining that cricket was faster. He thought about her teaching children, disabled children too weak for regular classes, skills that would make them more capable than most council soldiers. "No," he said honestly, "but I don't think we have a choice. We either adapt to humans, or we keep building protocols based on fundamental misunderstandings of reality." "When you put it that way," Zilak sighed. "Very well. Continue monitoring Miss Martinez's sessions." "And Kael'thas?" "When she introduces that Capture the Flag game." "Sir?" "I want to observe, from a safe distance, with medical personnel standing by." "Already planning on it, Commander." In her quarters, Olivia pulled out her personal communicator and sent a message to her mother back on Earth. "Teaching's going great. Students are really enthusiastic. They're learning so fast, way faster than my middle schoolers, honestly. Everyone's been super nice about the whole accidentally setting off every alarm in the facility thing. Next month, I'm introducing Capture the Flag. Can't wait to see how they like it. Miss you, love, live. She hit send, smiled, and started planning her Capture the Flag strategy. Maybe she'd divide them into 3 teams instead of 2, make it more challenging. Her third period class back home would love that variation. Across the facility, somewhere in the command center, a newly recalibrated scanner registered Olivia's elevated excitement about next month's lesson plan. It displayed, Human enthusiasm detected. Category, recreational activity planning. Threat level, undefined. The technician monitoring it sighed and made a note to schedule extra medical staff for the next 2 months, just to be safe.